You're welcome back. It's 11 minutes to the top of the hour, and it is time for the mental health show. And as I mentioned, we're looking at Anorexia Nervosa. And with me here in the studio, I have Barnabas at Tangongo, together with 10 billion Pala, Emanuela, as well as Asuma Shahada to Brima. And let me remind you, as always, we are live on Facebook. So join us on Facebook. And as you join us, please do share for others to benefit from our discussion and education. This is education. We're all educating ourselves. So share for others to also join us and benefit from that. My name is Akosia Kwatuma Boache. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, AKB.
Hey, good morning. Yes, you know. Good morning, Mante. And so, Bema de Bako, Martini. So, Shada and Emanuela, good morning.
Good morning, AKB.
Aha, better. Better now. I hope you're doing well. The day is going well for you.
Somehow.
Somehow. Hey, it's too early to be somehow. And hope the fasting is treating you well with this weather.
Yes.
The hot season,
We are managing.
the sun.
Oh. That's why we need to relocate fasting.
To where? Relocate fast to where?
Canada.
Oh, the spirit has already jakpa. It's just the body that is here. Okay, it's great. You are in the last lap, so finish hard.
Okay.
Finish hard. We'll join you to eat. Don't worry. When the eating time comes, we'll join you to eat. Monday, Tuesday, we'll join you to eat.
Okay.
Okay. So, Barnabas, Anorexia Nervosa, mo bro for akase na. Mo de tete your life no.
O yearly's mistake one share na one akopana abeda ni din ama. Just say so obo no
Bako aha we no one.
Minimum bi a o tie bi o dwen say meka no my mistake na wasere but oboa.
Ni pakro obo akra.
Obo menye mistake.
Mate. So yentie, what is it?
Okay, so when we talk about anorexia nervosa, it's a eating disorder.
Eating?
Eating disorder. Aduane di ewura yenum ya gugu ya yamu ho disorder.
Okay.
And yewo aduane di ho disorder. So this is something that if you've not heard that there's an eating disorder today, you will learn something about anorexia nervosa. So when we talk about anorexia nervosa, it's also a mental condition, but within a mental condition, we segregate them into various kinds of disorder. So we've grouped this one as part of an eating disorder. So from here, I think next week we will talk about another eating disorder so that our listeners will get more understanding about this kind of eating disorder when it comes to the mental health field. So with anorexia nervosa, what it basically means is that there's restriction in your food intake. So ideally, if you are not fasting or you are not on diet or you are not on anything, we are expecting that you are eating morning, afternoon, evening most of the time. But with these people that have anorexia nervosa, what they do is that they restrict their food intake. So it's either they are avoiding either to eat at all or they are not even eating in that particular instant. And sometimes too, what they do is that they avoid certain particular food, especially foods that contains a lot of carbohydrates. And with these same people, you realize that they have extreme fear about being overweight or being fat, in quote. But when you look at these people that are claiming that they are overweight and they are fat, this person is thin, very thin. One train cram from my boy will be a bit but this person is telling you that no, I can see myself to be very fat, and the person is scared that looking at that person's stature, if he or she eats again, she's going to become fat. So it is not only about the restriction of the food intake. The person is not already taking the food at all, and the person is also scared that they are fat. Meanwhile, you look at the person and compare that same person's weight to other person within the person's same age category. The person is very, very underweight, but is claiming that he or she is fat. So what I want our listeners to understand is that when we talk about anorexia nervosa, there have to be the restriction of food intake. So the person doesn't want to even eat at all. And also, the person has this intense fear, so severe fear that they've gained weight or they are fat. But when you look at the person, you can clearly see that this person is not gaining weight or is not even fat at that particular point in time. And also, there is a disturbance in the way that they see their body shape or they see their weight. So that is where you realize that when you compare this individual to other people within the same age category, this individual is very thin. The person looks very malnourished, but the person is insisting that he or she is very fat. So in that instance, there's a disturbance in the way the person perceives how their body image is or their body shape is. So the real thing, what is the reality? The person has difficulty identifying that body shape or that body image that we expect the individual to actually develop with. And with anorexia nervosa, one thing that we see is that before it begins to develop, we normally see people within the age of 15 years. So normally we see the development occurring around the age of 15 years and upwards. But that does not mean that if you are above 15 years, you cannot develop it. But most of the time, we see it developing within the teen age, whilst it progresses as time goes on. And also, when we look at this condition, and remember, I'm talking about issues of body weight, gaining weight, and body shape, and other things. And mostly, it is women that we normally hear them talking a lot about how their body image is, how their stomach is. With their mechanical stomach, Madam Fubiti or your Becca Semin and Yaminoa. And Yaminoa. So, women normally talk about how their stomach or your back are you and Yaminoa. I could see any nearer. Me education, and also to me for you. So, people talk about this, their stomach, how they are big, they want to trim down, they want to reduce in size and other things. So, you normally hear this kind of conversation being have in among females. So females normally tend to have this kind of conversation. So one thing that we've also seen is that with anorexia nervosa, we tend to have a lot of females as compared to males developing it. So if you look at even the percentage worldwide, what we see is that if you look at the percentage, about 4% of females are likely to develop it, or 4% of females that normally develop this condition, whilst if you compare the percentage of males, for males is 0.3%. So realize that the development is rather very few in males and is much higher in females. And that is the idea behind some of these things, is because normally females are more concerned about how their look will be, how they are looking, how their body shape is and other things. But for men, sometimes we don't really care about those kind of things. So we don't get to develop some of these things. So we have to know that even though I'm now saying that sometimes females tend to have it more, if you are a male, you can also have it.
Okay.
So we have to also take note of that. And this condition is not also respectable of either your race, your ethnic group, or your background, or wherever that you are coming from. So everyone can develop it. Just that we tend to see a lot of females having these conditions as compared to males. So when we talk about anorexia nervosa, our listeners should take note that there is an individual that is restricting their food intake, does not even want to eat the food at all. Okay. And when you approach this person will insist that they have gained weight or they are fat. And when you look at them, there is no evidence of being fat. There is no evidence of being weight. But this person is sometimes very malnourished, okay, and is still insisting that they've gained weight. So, KB, this is what we mean by anorexia nervosa.
Yeah, Samo. I'm casting because any pano did pa.
And also, you're not so very chilly.
And I'm casting. Is there anorexia nervosa? I said, nervous will be of Mediane. But it's rather the opposite. Okay. So, Shada, let's look at the symptoms, the signs and symptoms of anorexia nervosa.
Okay, thank you, AKB. So some of the symptoms of anorexia nervosa include being underweight. like Barnabas already mentioned severally, because the person doesn't really eat, the person is very underweight, like malnourished, the person doesn't even have any flesh, sometimes it's like basically bones.
Hey.
Yes. Like just left with bones,
Wow.
basically, yeah. And then binging and purging, it simply means that you eat plenty but you don't store it in your body, so immediately after eating you take something to make you bring all that you've eaten out. So maybe if they don't want people to talk too much, you see that they are eating like they're eating normally, some to overeat, and then maybe when no one is watching they go and then bring everything that they ate, so it's like no nutrients from the food that they ate is being
Staying,
utilized,
yeah.
yeah, it's staying in the body. And then dehydration, if like you're not eating, you are going to be dehydrated, because sometimes we get hydrated through drinking water, eating nutritious foods and stuff. So if you are not eating, definitely you are going to be dehydrated. And then distorted body image, so people with anorexia nervosa, though they look so skinny, everybody can see that this person can easily break. They feel like, okay, so I'm still big and I need to do something about my weight, like I still need to lose weight. Yes, because that's what they feel like, that's what they are seeing when they look into the mirror. They are not seeing what you're seeing, so they have distorted body image. And then extreme tiredness, we all need energy, we all need some nutrients to keep us active, working and stuff. So if you're not eating, there's no way you're going to get energy and that strength, so you see that you're always tired even without doing anything. And then extremely restrictive eating, okay, some that will even agree to take something into their body, like they restrict themselves so much. Maybe this is the only thing I'm going to take into my body, this is the only thing I'm going to eat. So you see that you find that they are not eating a lot of things, they're just eating one particular thing. Maybe the person feels like all that my body needs is a glass of juice. Like I'm only restricted to taking a glass of juice, like no matter what anybody says or tells me, that's just what I'm going to take. And then intense fear of gaining weight, Barnabas already mentioned this. So they are so scared that if they eat they are going to add weight. Already they believe that they are big and they have to do something about their weight, so eating means they are going to add weight. So it's like they are so scared that no matter how little I take into my body, it's definitely going to add something to my body, and I don't want that. And then loss of periods or failure to begin a menstrual cycle. In order to have like a normal cycle, we all know that food is very crucial. Eating right, eating a balanced diet, as I usually mention, is very crucial. Sometimes you even realize that when you go to a new place and then your food changes, sometimes you even experience like a delay in periods and other things. So just imagine not eating at all and not having nutrients. So you might not even experience your flow as you're supposed to experience it. And then skin that is yellowed, dry, or covered with soft hair. So um, in order for our skin to glow and look nice, I'm sure like the food we eat definitely contributes to that. So if you are not eating the food that you're supposed to eat to get the required nutrients, you're going to see that your skin is going to become yellow, and then dry. It's going to appear very dry because already you are dehydrated and stuff. Yeah. And then taking diet pills or aids. So instead of eating, you see that you rely on diet pills and then aids, which is not very healthy, because as we all know, like every medication or pills definitely has side effects, and already you're not eating, you're going to take diet pills and stuff. And then talking about weight or food all the time, you realize that if you have someone, or you know someone with anorexia nervosa, it's like any conversation you're having with a person is basically around their weight or food. And I'm not supposed to eat this, I can't eat this, like I'm so overweight, I'm so big, I need to do something about my weight. Meanwhile, you standing there, I can't even see any flesh on you. And then suicidal thoughts or actions. So in cases where it's so extreme that the person feels like, upon all that I'm doing, I'm still looking so fat and so big, it's like no matter what I do, it's still the same. Like the person might, and already their thinking is distorted. They don't think like, sorry to say, like we do. people without their condition. So it's like their thinking is so different. So if they feel like no matter what I'm doing, I'm still looking so big, and I they'll just probably say that okay, so I can't take this anymore, like and then they might just think of taking their lives, or if you are not even lucky, actually go ahead to take their life.
Wow.
Yeah, and even the actions of not eating already is suicidal
Yeah.
because you need food to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are basically some of the symptoms that I'll mention.
Okay. Thanks very much. Now coming to Ella, what are the causes or risk factors?
Okay, okay, KB. So the causes or risk factors here with anorexia, there's no definite cause. You can't exactly point to a particular cause, but then we have a couple of risk factors that have been found to increase a person's chances of developing anorexia.
Okay.
So one would be genetics. So usually when we talk about genetics, it's when a family member, a close family member, has developed a particular disorder before.
Okay.
It increases the chances of a family member, another person developing that condition if put in maybe certain environmental factors. So just genetics alone can be it. You might have a family member with the condition, but it doesn't mean you get it. It's maybe coupled with some environmental factors. So coming to the environmental factors could also be a risk factor of um, anorexia nervosa. This is because, like, for example, some environmental factors could include trauma or stress or major life changes. So yeah, so let me fuse it with the genetics. So this person has a family member who had this condition already, anorexia nervosa. Then you are born with a chance of getting it. Then you start experiencing certain life traumas and stresses. It would increase a person's possibility of developing anorexia. Another factor could also be social and cultural pressure, especially out there. Like when Barnabas was speaking, he said um, topics about body image and stuff like that are very common among females. Among the female population and generally the world population, there's this image of what a spec should look like. So if you're a lady, they expect you should be slim, curvy, and yes. So that's social pressure or social cultural pressure that is available out there could pressure a person into, let's say the person is big a bit. Yes, with that kind of pressure out there, the person can start to avoid certain types of foods because the person wants to look like the image that is placed out there. So sociocultural factors and pressures could also increase a person's chances of developing anorexia. Also, I'll move on to talk about family and peer influence could also be a risk factor for anorexia. A lot of the time, our friends, family, they be passing comments about, oh, see how your body is, you are like this, you are like that. Then the person, it gets to you. You don't want to be like that, like your parents are saying. Using myself, for example, when I was in the university, I used to wear nose masks in my first year and second year a lot because I wasn't comfortable when anyone talks about my cheeks. So, hey, your cheeks. It was very uncomfortable because it's like everywhere I go, that was the first thing people noticed.
Okay.
So it made me really uncomfortable. In my case, I started wearing nose masks, but then in someone's case, you see this person is going online to research, okay, what should I eat so that my cheeks will not grow big? This, then a person of this nature may start to, engage in avoiding certain types of food, over exercising, and doing things that on a normal day the person shouldn't be doing. Also, another one could be sorry, low self-esteem. Low self-esteem could also be a risk factor for anorexia nervosa.
Okay.
Low self-esteem and perfectionism. So you have it in mind that this is the perfect image of a human being, or this is how things are supposed to be. So I must be the ideal human being. I must be this. If I'm not like that, then you feel sad, you have low self-esteem. So in order for a person of this nature to feel like the person belongs, the person will start to engage in things to make the person look like the ideal. And in this case, if it has to do with body image, you might start to engage in negative behaviors that are not good for your health, and in this sense, anorexia. So the few things I've mentioned are some of the risk factors that could lead to the development of anorexia.
Okay, thanks very much, Emanuela, the chicks lady. Okay, so Barnabas,
Okay.
let's look at the treatment of anorexia nervosa.
Okay. So as we are moving on to the treatment, uh, that's the good part of some of these conditions that if you even happen to have it and you come to the hospital, you see the mental health professionals, there are ways or there are proven ways that we can help you to be able to recover from some of these conditions. So with anorexia nervosa specifically, when we are looking at the treatment, the first thing is that we are looking at how the person came in or presented, how the person presented themselves to the hospital or to the health facility where you are working.
Okay.
Remember, we said there is a restriction on food intake, so the person is not taking a lot of food for 3 months, 6 months continuous. And in that case, you are likely to realize that the person might even come in very malnourished.
Okay.
And when someone comes in very malnourished like that, there's little nutrient in there, and this can make the person die. So the first thing is that when we look at your state, we realize that you are very malnourished. We are going to hospitalize you. So in that instance, we want to hospitalize you and make sure that we stabilize you before we can maybe let you go to the house before we do other form of treatment.
Okay.
When people restrict themselves from food intake, sometimes there are chemical imbalances or electrolyte imbalances that occurs within our system. There is also shortage of various nutrients that you actually need to do work. So with anorexia nervosa, people experience it to the extent that they realize that it's actually draining them. They become weak. They are not able to work. They are not able to go to work. They are not able to do anything. But these people still believe that they are big or they are fat in that regard. So when you come and we see that you are very malnourished, the first thing is that we are going to make sure that we are hospitalizing you to make sure that we stabilize your electrolyte content, and we make sure that we get certain nutrients into your system before we can move on to another thing. So depending on the hospital where you were presented with, whether it's in the psychiatric hospital, whether it's in a normal or general hospital, they are going to make sure that they provide you with this hospitalization care. Then the important thing is that when we were talking about some of these things, Ella talked about one of the risk factors being issue of self-esteem.
Okay.
And sometimes people that we realize that they have people who have issues with their self-esteem, you tend to also see issues of depression in there, issues of anxiety in there. So in that instance, we also come in with some form of medication to see whether if this person is experiencing any mood disturbances as well. Whether the person's mood is fluctuating, the person is feeling sad, the person is feeling worried or is feeling anxious. Then we come in with the medication to make sure that the medication helps elevate the person's mood. The medication helps reduce the distorted form of thinking or the anxiousness that the person is going through, so that the person can have a stable mind to also focus on to continue with the treatment. After we are done with the medication aspect, if you need it, then the key and important thing about the treatment of anorexia nervosa is psychotherapy. So psychotherapy is when you are going to see your psychologist, or you are going to see, in certain instances, a psychiatrist who has training in psychotherapy to provide you with a form of talk therapy where he is going to help you to work on the distorted thinking and certain behaviors that you've developed over the years. So we will talk about, for instance, cognitive behavioral therapy, where the therapist's focus is on changing your distorted form of thinking. So under normal circumstance, you are presenting as someone that is very thin, and you are now telling yourself that you are very fat. That is a distorted form of thinking. And even if you say this to a child will be looking at you and will be smiling, or will be wondering whether what you're saying you actually know what you are talking about. So that is a distorted form of thinking. So your therapist will help you to reshape that idea that you have. Another key thing is that when it comes to psychotherapy, some of these conditions we normally talk about the fact that you can't do it alone. Because when someone that is fat, someone that is thin is telling you that I'm very fat and I've gained weight, and this person is not seeing that no, I'm rather malnourished and I'm thin and I need help, this person will not even make it upon themselves to even go to the hospital. The person will not even take the step to go to the hospital for treatment. So sometimes we need our family members, our loved ones, to come in to support us to take that step. So in a form of psychotherapy, we also have another form of therapy where we bring the family members of the individual that is having anorexia nervosa together, and we come together to see each individual within the family or each loved one that came in a company with this person, how this individual can support the individual that has anorexia nervosa to be able to overcome the condition that they are experiencing. And we discuss various roles that individuals can play, and they can use it to help the individual attain maximum improvement. With anorexia nervosa, the truth is that you can't do it alone. You need support from other people to help you. And in certain instances, sometimes if something happens to you, it's just that even in our normal life, sometimes when something happens to you and you realize that sometimes with that thought alone you become okay, and you tend to even shield your issue somewhere.
Okay.
So in that instance, there is a form of therapy that we call group therapy, where people who have similar conditions, so in this case anorexia nervosa, we bring them together where they go and talk about their experiences, how they are able to cope with the condition day by day, how they are able to fight certain triggers, how they are able to maneuver their way in terms of the mood issues that they are experiencing. If they are also developing suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideations, how each individual is able to maneuver and cope with some of these things. So we bring these people together and they talk about their experiences, they share their experiences, whilst in the presence of obviously a psychologist that navigates the process. So in doing this, it helps individuals to learn from each other that this person tried this and it worked, maybe I could also try it and see how best it will work for me. And sometimes when you are going through something and you get someone that have gone through a similar thing, you are eager to hear from that person, because you feel like that person will understand you better. That person can share the pain that you are going through. So that is what group therapy does for people who have anorexia nervosa, when we bring them together to be able to learn from each other and build a good interpersonal relationship as well within the group, and help them to recover. And the last and an important thing that we also do is that, remember we said anorexia nervosa means that the person is not taking in food at all.
Yeah.
And also the person has fear that they've gained weight or they are fat in that regard. So in that instance, once the person is not taking in food, there's going to be issue of underweight. There's going to be malnourished issues that we have to deal with. So in that instance, we also bring in nutrition counseling. Okay. So here, the nutrition officers and the dietitians also comes in to see how they can help you put in certain food measures. So here this one will be a diet, not to reduce your weight, but a diet to make sure that you maintain a good weight. So the nutrition officers and the dietitians will come in to support you with various food and advise you on various food and how to even take the food to help you to gain a normal or maintain a normal weight, and you can continue with your life as an individual. So with anorexia nervosa, even though it's a serious form of a condition that when it comes to the mental health food, the truth is that a lot of people that happen to develop this, sometimes if you don't take care, they end up committing suicide because of the severity of how it is. Just be the perception of the body shape and body image issues. So with this treatment that we have, you should know that if someone is developing some of these things, I've had people who talk to me about the fact that, oh, for them they don't like food, they don't even like the scent of food, they don't like the way
Any
sometimes
food
they
at
have,
all.
yes, they have to even chew the food, they don't even like that kind of thing. And you see those people, you can see how thin that they are. So when someone begins to talk to you about some of these things, you should realize that, you should know that this person has a risk factor of developing some of these things, and we shouldn't wait for the thing to be fully grown, where now you will now be rushing to the hospital to now go and seek other rehabilitation. So we can go to the hospital or see any mental health professional, and they will help us through some of these form of therapy. And we just have to know that with anorexia nervosa, there is proven treatment that can help the person regain their life back and recover from the condition that they are going through. So AKB, this is what we have for the treatment.
Okay, thanks very much, Barnabas, for taking us through the treatment. Now, would want both Shada and then Ella to discuss the coping mechanism. So, who comes in first?
Okay, so I would start. So some of the coping mechanisms for anorexia would be to seek professional support. Just like Barnabas said, there are a lot of treatment options available for anorexia. So one coping mechanism here would be to seek support from a dietitian or a mental health professional to help you to cope with it. Another one would be to join support groups. Like when Barnabas was talking about the types of psychotherapy available, he mentioned group therapy where people are made to share their experiences of how they how their condition has progressed so far, and how they are making ways to deal with it. So yeah, so it's also important to join support groups as a way of dealing with anorexia. And the last one I will mention is to educate your family and then your friends about the disorder. When I was talking about the risk factors, one of the risk factors was family and friends influence, so constant comments on your body and things of that sort. So first of all, if you find yourself developing, or you notice that you are developing a bad eating habit, so you talk to your friends and family about it. Or even if you don't notice yourself developing such a thing, when the negative comments about yourself starts, you talk to them. You are not comfortable with them talking about your body and how, yes, in order for it not to even progress to the stage where it can become a disorder. So Shada will continue.
Okay, Shada.
Okay, thank you, Ella. So another coping mechanism is talking to someone. Um, Sometimes you realize that when you are going through a very hard time and you speak to somebody, and then you realize that the person understands what you're going through. I don't know. Sometimes you feel some kind of relief, though the problem is not gone, but at least you know that there is someone there. It might not be easy speaking up, but just try and talk to someone, at least one person. Let the person be there to help and support you in times of need. Because at this moment, like, you really need someone. Because it's not going to be easy going through it alone. And instances where you can't talk to someone, you can join support groups, as Ella already mentioned. And then another thing is doing things that you love doing. I remember those days that I was addicted to Korean movies. Sometimes you're watching a Korean movie and like your attention is there. You don't even have time to think of other things. So let's say you are thinking so much of your body weight and all that. Just do what you enjoy. For example, watching a movie. All your attention is going to be there. You don't even have time to entertain all these thoughts that are making you restless and stuff. You can also hang out with friends. Sometimes when you're having such a good time with friends, you don't have time to think about all your worries and stuff. And also, if you feel like you are starting to become stressed, or you feel like your eating disorder, the behavior is going to come back, try to do something that will discourage yourself. Maybe you take a road trip, you go for a walk. Like just do something that will distract you, something that will not allow your mind to, think about those things. Because they always say that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So when you are sitting down doing nothing, you see that those thoughts will keep coming. So these are some of the coping mechanisms we have for our viewers and listeners this morning.
Okay. Thanks so much. So this morning we've been looking at Anorexia Nervosa here in the studio. We've been told what it is, the causes, some signs, and then symptoms, as well as the treatment, and they just gave us the coping mechanism, how you can cope with this kind of disorder. So finally, let me take your last words, and then we'll be done with our discussion. Let me start with Ella.
Okay. I'd like to say a good morning to all the listeners, and once again, thank you to Fila FM for giving us the opportunity to be here.
Okay.
Yeah, I also like to greet our listeners and viewers and tell them, as I usually say, we can't get through to everybody. So the little that you know or you've heard today, share. And if you're observing from afar, you see that someone is probably going through this, you can find a way of linking the person to help. You can't just approach the person like someone not even ready for the help. So you have to be strategic when doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Barnabas.
Okay. I want to start by thanking Phil FM for the opportunity that you always give us to come and educate the people of Tamale and Ghana and beyond. I want to just plead and just talk about something a little bit. So, as a mental health professional, there's going to be a mental health summit that will be happening in Accra around 28th to 31st May. So, all the lovers of mental health that want to see reforms in mental health, not only even within Ghana but across Africa, you guys should put your fingers crossed and take note of this all important activity that will be happening. So the last thing that I want to say is that there are mental health professionals around. So if you are going through something that you realize that there is a difficulty for you to understand, you're having issue grabbing why you are even going through all these things, just come to us. That's what we are there for. We are always there and ready to welcome you and help you if you come around. So come and we welcome you and see how best we can help you together so that we develop and improve better to also build a better and a good mother Ghana in the near future for our children. So thank you, Fila FM, and thanks to our listeners and viewers as well.
Okay, thanks so much for also always being here every Tuesday, because if you're not here every Tuesday, of course, there wouldn't be mental health show. So thanks to the team, you're doing very, very well. And to our listeners and also to our viewers, we really appreciate your time always with us. Sometimes you contribute meaningfully. You ask questions that help us to delve deeper. So we are grateful to you as well. So this morning I have been talking with Tembillion Pala Emanuela, TTH Psychology Unit, and then also still at TTH Psychology Unit is Asuma Shada Tubraima and Barnabas Atangongo from the Tamale West Hospital Mental Health Unit. Thanks to Kumsin Matthew and also Godfred for the Facebook Live. All those who joined us on Facebook, thank you. And all those who join us on radio, we appreciate you as well. My name is Akusia Kwatama Boache. We are applying the brakes here, and join us next week, same time, when we come your way with yet another interesting topic on our mental health show. Captain, we didn't hear from you today, but I do hope you are doing well. And I hope you are doing well. And once again, we miss you so much on the show. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone. When the signal is clear, surely we will join the nation's capital for the discussion segment. Have a good morning.